Yeah, where's
Hello, everybody. Just so you know, Patty is with me and working on getting into the meeting. She's had some technical difficulties today. Her power is out at her house.
Well, Dave should be out too. Is Dave out too? Oh, Westridge is out.
I don't know, Dave, are you out of power?
Nope.
Nope. He says no.
Recording in progress.
I don't think that. No, I don't think this room goes on with the wall.
PG&E map showed all of Westridge out, so. Oops.
Make it just.
Okay, where's Cindy? I'm waiting for Cindy. So I'm at Karen's house. And sorry about the confusion getting in.
No, it's just kind of Westridge and Hermosa and Pinion. Yeah.
You know how to change the name?
You want to tell us the city is?
Other Cindy.
Oh.
So I have myself on mute right now, but can everybody hear me?
Oh, great, lucky me. I don't know what happened.
I'm telling you again, I'm going to try to.
Hi, Cindy. Okay. Hi, Rita.
Hi, guys. I don't know if I'm in there or not. I'm trying to get Lindsay back in. We pushed her in. So let me, I can't find it again. So I may log out and come back.
We can see you and hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, just leave it as it is.
Unfortunately, you can't, but okay, here we go. But it has my name and he wanted me to change it. I don't know how to do that. So here he is. And if you need me, I'm right here.
Thank you, Rita.
I'll be an ad hoc member. I read it all. I know what's going on.
You're an honorary member of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for what you are doing.
Okay. We can get started. Okay, maybe what I'll start off with is kind of the last item. I don't know how many of you tuned into the town council meeting last Wednesday, but we did make a proposal and it was accepted and passed that certain committees are no longer Brown Act committees. That includes Parks and Rec. So that is one reason why we're not at the schoolhouse tonight. And one reason why we can continue to have meetings on Zoom. There is a document I'll send out to all of you that kind of lists the individual components of the meetings and what we can and can't do. Basically, again, we can have Zoom meetings. This now counts as an official meeting. Anybody on Zoom counts towards a quorum. We can't have a meeting without a quorum if necessary. We can't vote on anything, but we can have a meeting and have discussions. We can discuss things between meetings, share documents with others. We don't need a quorum to do that. We can post agendas and minutes. The chair will do that with only 24 hours notice to the meeting instead of 72, which is actually huge because I actually had to have it to the city a week before the meeting so that they could post it in time. Anyway, we just have a lot more flexibility and versatility. One item is we are no longer reporting to the town council. We are now reporting to the town manager. So we no longer have a town council rep. Sharif and I are still working out the details of how he's going to manage liaison relationships to the committees. There were 9 committees that, let me just share this. As you can see, there were, the middle column are the committees that elected or opted to go to a town manager committee, so they are no longer under Brown Act, as well as the historic committee. Now, at the last minute, Dale Fow decided that he wanted to revisit his standing for the emergency preparedness committee, so he is in limbo, but all the other committees there, cultural arts, historic, nature and science, Parks and Rec, public works, race and equity, sustainability, and Woodside Highlands are now town manager committees. The others are still town council committees and remain under the components of the Brown Act. So I think it's great news. I think it gives us a lot more flexibility. I think hopefully will help us attract more volunteers. That was one of the things that we talked about, was that the limitation of having to be in person at the schoolhouse placed some restrictions on some people that they didn't necessarily want to take on. So the hope is that with this more flexibility, we might be able to attract more volunteers. Don't know, that wasn't the only reason that we did it, but that hopefully is something that could come out of this. So are there any questions that the committee has with regard to that action item?
Do we still have the same good meeting practice guidelines, like approving minutes and all that?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. We are still in public
Sure.
meetings. Public can join. We still have to allow for public comments.
Okay.
Can talk about something that someone from the public brings up, even if it's not on the agenda. We can't vote on anything, but we can talk about it. We can answer questions. I think we've been doing that in the Parks and Rec committee meeting anyway, so it's not necessarily that new for us, but yes, we still have to publish an agenda, publish minutes, all those things.
That's good.
Karen, I think you had a question.
Well, yeah, the one thing that I was concerned with is if we have an issue, if our committee has an issue that we feel needs to go to the top of the list, but yet the manager doesn't feel the same way, what's the issue of resolution? And I think that at that point we can figure out how to request it of the council, right, in a public meeting or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. In this document I'm going to send out to you, it has this huge matrix which we put together, which says, you know, for town council, town manager groups, these are all the things that are different for each one and required for each one. The one that Karen is talking about is this issue resolution, this one here. So because we report to the town manager, if we have an issue or something we want to be presented before the town council, Sharif is our first line of defense. He is the person that we go to and talk to about that. He can decide at that point, you know, yes, let's take it to the council, in which case, you know, the normal process follows. Or he may say, you know what? No, I don't agree. And we can go around him. We talked about this at the town council meeting, and I actually haven't changed this based on that. We do have the option to go around him if we don't agree. And he agreed that we could submit it, albeit with the caveat that he would make it known that he didn't necessarily agree with it, but we have the right to take it to council even with his disagreement. So hopefully that won't happen, but it was brought up at the meeting, and I think it is something that we have to consider. We did talk about at the meeting, this is new. We're some of these things may work, some of these things may not. We're going to have to be flexible in moving forward and seeing if we need to make changes, but that is what we talked about in terms of issue resolution.
Is this document on the town webpage?
Not yet. Sharif and I are discussing how to make it, more formal, because this is really just in a memo form to the town council. But I'm happy to send at least this matrix out to all of you so that you can see, what we're working with.
Yeah, like that's a pretty
Good idea.
good chart or table.
Yeah. Other questions, comments? Okay, so stay tuned for that. And I'll keep you informed about what's going on there. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry I didn't go all the way to the top. Called this meeting to order. Any oral communications? Don't see anybody from the public. Do I have an approval of minutes for December 5th?
We have the minutes as written.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. New business. Several things have come up in the last couple weeks or so, and I think it would be prudent to set a date for the picnic. So,
Don't you always have it like mid-December, September?
mid-September. And Karen's leaving at some point, and since she wigged out on us last year, I'm gonna make her be there this year because she's gonna do everything.
Yeah, I was asking for the 14th of September, if that worked for other people. And we looked and there isn't a Stanford game then, right? I think.
I think there's a Stanford game on the
7th.
7th. But right now, no Stanford game on the 14th.
And you always have it on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
14th is fine with me. I mean,
Any thoughts about the 14th for anybody else? It's
is that
couple
earlier?
weeks after the holiday, which I think is good. Kids will be back in school, right?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks after.
John, what about the softball league? Does that interfere with that at all?
Say it again.
Well, that's
Karen.
in the middle of our playoffs, but
Yeah.
last year we did it a little bit later, right? It was the 23rd. And this is even kind of not only this is really 1 week earlier. So yeah, our championship game will be probably the 15th. I'll have to look again. So it'll be the next day. So we always have this issue with the town always wanting to close everything for the weekend. But the game isn't even till 5 o'clock on Sunday. So it's just more a matter of and literally it's every year needing to convince the town that it's okay to keep the field open.
I think the big thing is we've traditionally taken down the home run fence. I guess they have to put it back up.
Yeah. We would need to leave it up. Let's put it that way, because it doesn't go up
Leave
and
it
down
up.
either.
Okay.
So
The objection to going on the 21st is what?
Karen's out, so I
Oh,
can't put her to
Karen.
work.
I mean,
Sure.
you can have it without. me, just with-
I'll do all of Karen's work.
You're on mute, Karen. You're on mute, Karen. Karen, you're on mute.
Oh, I was just saying that I'm out of town. So I leave that week after the 14th. And if you want me there, I mean, I'm happy to help as much as I can prior to the event, but I won't be able to make it. So I was hoping maybe we could schedule it for a time when I could make it. But it's not a deal breaker by any means.
I'm only giving you a hard time, Karen.
I know.
But
I'll
you
do
did
the
want the
work.
dunk tank. I want to know you wanted the dunk tank.
Cindy was in favor of the dunk tank as well.
I don't know. Is there a Stanford game on the 21st? John, do you happen to have it there?
yeah, I'm looking now. No, not according to this anyway. Let me hit one more thing.
Would the 21st be a better date because we'd be through the playoffs?
Well, it's all a matter of just how important you think it is for the fence to be up and down. There's no question that it does not go up and down like in a day like that, right? And I wouldn't be able to schedule it earlier because let me see, it's the 26th. Let me try to dig through the history of, kind of what the schedule looks like, and whether we could pull it in a week.
While he's doing that, I wanted to mention one more thing. This year is the 60th anniversary of the town.
Wow.
And
that's right. 64.
1964.
Uh-huh.
I've been approached by a couple of people. Nancy Lund wants to have a special celebration for the citizens who have been here for 60 years. And evidently there's quite a few of them. And then Sarah approached me because the town council had wondered if we were going to have a celebration and whether we should attach it, so to speak, to the picnic. Any thoughts about that?
That's a good venue. But what kind of celebration would it be? I mean, beaches?
We don't know.
Is Parks and Rec traditionally in charge of events like that?
I think it's been attached to the picnic in the past. And I think what that meant was, I know I attended one just right after I moved here. Really, it was just about they introduced the people that had been here, the mayor gave a speech, it was, it's not a big thing. It's just something, it's an acknowledgement more than anything. Nancy Lund was thinking of having a tea for the people who have been here for 60 years. And I thought, well, if she does that, I don't think the picnic's the right forum to do that. The picnic is more for families and kids than it is for, older people, if I may be so polite to say.
The heat could be an issue too. You just never know in September.
But if they've been here 60 years, they're older.
Who
Right.
did the 50th? Wasn't there a big 50th anniversary?
Yeah, we did, I think.
Can remember songs being written and stuff like that.
Remember wine tents?
But it wasn't at the picnic, or it was?
I don't know if I knew the difference back then.
My kids have been of picnic age, and there was, I think the 50th celebration was separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so any other insights on the date?
Softball that would end on the 15th for sure. That's Sunday. So I hate to move a whole picnic, but again, it's how bad would it be to have a fence up?
It would get destroyed.
Gets kind of destroyed anyway by kids playing on it, but
It would
okay. Yeah.
it would get destroyed, or it would get more destroyed.
Well, I mean, I love Karen, but we can have it without her. I'll do her
I think
work.
Karen would be good for that. Karen would appreciate that, getting the
Okay,
sense.
so we say the 21st then?
I think that's just an easier date.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen. We do love you.
I think Karen does enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay, everybody okay with the 21st then?
Correct.
Going,
So
going, gone.
you'll answer Pamela Dorrell. There was an email from a Pamela Dorrell asking about the date.
I got in touch with her and let her know we were choosing the date tonight and that we would let her know. So I'm happy to go back to her and tell her it's first. I do have one question, but maybe we don't need to decide yet. We did have a band that we had asked last year. It was the one that Dave you recommended. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
They were asking about the dates and if they wanted us at the picnic. So maybe we should decide if we want a band or just.
I thought last week we decided we didn't, that it was not, didn't.
You know what, I want to defer any decisions tonight.
Okay.
Sorry, I am just not in a good mood, so.
Okay.
I think we'll go into picnic planning here very soon, but I think let the bands know if we want to, that we're still, thinking about what our plans are for the picnic. If everybody's okay with that.
Just tell them the date without a
Yeah, we can
commitment.
tell them the date, if they want to. But no ice cream at the finish line.
It's okay. The library provides ice cream at the other end.
That's true. Okay. Old business, proposal for a community playground. I reached out to Katie. We do not have an update for tonight. She said that with the holidays and everything, she just hadn't really gotten anything done. So she was gonna jump back on it in the new year, but I do not have any new information or updates on the community playground. Game night.
Okay, hopefully you guys have seen the forum and that registration is officially open. I was going to share just in case you haven't seen it. Oh boy. Hang on. It should be right there. Okay. So when you go to pb.net/trivia night, then you get this informational.
Patty, can you mute? Because when Karen's talking, I think it's your phone that's causing that.
Yeah, it's an echo.
Are you muted? Okay, is that better?
Yes, so much.
Okay, so anyway, this is the page on the PB website, and it gives all the information there. And then you click, this is new from last year, and I actually think it'll be better because we get real-time information. So you go here and it's a Google form. And then you can go in and you can enter all the players. You can enter individually or separately. And that's about it on that note. So registration has started.
What are the age ranges?
Excuse me?
What are the age ranges?
Age ranges, what does that mean?
We did not.
Could I bring my high schooler? Could I bring my middle schooler? Should I not bring them?
How young can you go? How young?
How smart are they?
They're smarter than I am.
They are welcome to come at the.
John knows.
But how smart are they on 70s television pop culture?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say that at this point, well, first of all, does anyone want to guess how many people are registered as of this meeting tonight?
No. How long has registration been open?
I sent the email out Saturday morning.
I put the over under at 52.
I would say something like 50. Yeah.
47.
No, 20. 20
I'll
people
go
have
under.
registered so
Yeah,
far.
I would do the under on that.
People are still trying to
You've
get their
been watching
teams
too many
together.
betting commercials on football, Dave.
It's 2 days.
I do over under bets with my smart kids all the time.
Anyway, so that seems to be going smoothly. And I went out and put some flyers up, but I couldn't get into the pickleball court thing because we now have glass on it. So Cindy, I want to give you one of those. But
Oh, do, because I have a key. He gave me one today.
Yeah. So I want to give you a flyer so you can put
Perfect.
it in.
Yeah.
And they're at the town center, they're in the library, they're next to PV Chiropractic. And I gave one to Mrs. Castillo, who was going to put it up at Ormondale, but I'll go into the offices there. And the question is do I want to put them down in Ladera or not?
No.
Yes.
No. No.
Okay.
You guys were
I
packed,
vote
right?
no. I bet we're gonna hit 100 pretty quickly.
And I would give them this. Is it better to? What are you going to do with what's going to happen with them at Ormondale?
It's going to get up in the bulletin board outside the school. It's just posted. They're not handed to each child.
So somebody has to read that kiosk.
Yeah, no, I'm just.
And then they're also, as I said, is so where we can really use your help, committee members, is number one, emailing all your friends, and I'm happy to I'll send some copy to you that you can just cut and paste, but just make everybody aware of it. Number two,
should I put it on the pickleball thing, the pickleball group? I don't know about that because there's about, over half are Portola Valley, but over half the other part is not.
I would send it to the people that are from Portola Valley.
Okay,
and
I have
it says it's open to residents of 94028.
Okay.
And employees.
Oh, then I have about 90 that I could send it to.
It's plenty.
Yeah,
and then so I'll get some copy for you on that, and obviously include the registration link. And then also it will go into the PV Weekly, which only goes out every other Thursday. So it will be in this Thursday and then 2 weeks, which is in early February. And I've got a popcorn popper from Ladera Rec that I need to test. And I've got most of the stuff going, and John and I will meet later to get the rest of that done. And we should test all the equipment at the town to make sure it works too, with all the turnover. I don't know how much that stuff is getting used. Remember, we needed batteries and things like that. Do you remember that day? So we should do a run through on that. But does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Do you need our help? Do you want us as volunteers?
Yes, we would love for you to help out at the event. I'm sorry, I thought that everybody. Yes, please. And then we'll figure it out. John, I don't know if you've talked to your friends at all. You were talking about okay.
Well, so first of all, Jan and Carrie and Beth will do it again. So those were the scorekeepers, right? And the only other volunteers I remember was 1 to 2 kind of bartenders, and then at the front entrance was Dana.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if we need anything else after that. I mean, it's good for people to be around. It's helpful to help set up and to tear down, but everybody helped to tear down at the end. So I'm not sure what else we would need. We probably don't have a bartender anymore. I don't know, the kid that did it last time.
Patty did it.
And Patty, right.
So there's 4 people that have volunteered off of the forum. So Dana Breen did the front entry last time, Ellen Lucier, a brand new woman to Portola Valley whose name is Dipti Chef, I think, and Susan Adams. So I think with knowing that Jan and Carrie and Beth are going to be there with the scoring that, and with the committee members, that I think that might be all we need. Although I have been told that they might not set up the room for us like they did last year when they put the tables out because they're short staffed. So I'm still working on that.
Yeah, I think in general it would be good to have people there for that first hour or two. Set up, yeah. 2 hours before, right?
And yeah, and we'll need someone to do the popcorn machine, and we'll need someone, we probably don't want to put everything out the way we did last time. Somebody can monitor and put stuff out when necessary.
So you just assign us to whatever you need.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
And I'll have others. I'll probably have a few others show up to help. So I think we'll have plenty of volunteers.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. So again, we're going to meet offline, but I thought one of the big things was that we had all this food and wine, and I think most people showed up not knowing it and kind of either brought their own, or we just had a lot of extra afterwards. And the big question for me anyway is, what do we do differently this time on that front? So I don't know if Karen, you want to just talk later.
Why don't we talk later? I mean, the reason we didn't do it last time was that we didn't want to say free beer and wine, because we didn't want people to come into the event because of that. Yeah. And so we said drinks and snacks will be available. Feel free to bring your BYOB. And some people did. They brought their own bottle of wine, and they were really pleasantly surprised when there was beer and wine there. I just think we overbought. I think we overbought a lot. So I don't know, Patty, you were there. What do you think?
I definitely overbought. I hardly anybody took a water. I wouldn't even buy water. We had that one that we filled up with ice water, and that's what people were using because they brought their own water bottles. I wouldn't buy any flavored water, no water. I'd cut way down. I wouldn't get any like sandwiches. I would just get, pretzels. I just get like
snack
finger food and much, much less of it.
Okay.
And you know what you ordered last time, right? I mean, you have like what you bought.
John and I went to Costco and went down the aisles and threw stuff into carts.
Were you hungry when you went?
That's a problem. Okay, I'm going next time because I don't do
you just don't do well, it's just that we assumed that people wouldn't bring anything because we didn't want to assume that they would, and we wanted to have enough. I mean, it was only like a couple glasses of wine each. It's just that I think just simply what happened was everybody brought their own.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the people that went last time loved it, and they'll come back, so they are going to know that you have drinks.
They're going to think, right? They're going to think we have it, but I think we should decide one way or the other, because I would actually buy not that much maybe, but enough for everybody. Tell them this time that we're going to have it, and not put it out in the PV forum. But
just put it to the ones who registered.
Once people register, once you register, then you said beforehand, just so you know, this is what we're going to have there, so they know.
So the good news is anyway, this time around, I've asked for email addresses for every player, so we can send an email closer to the event and let them know.
That's great. Yeah. Good.
Okay, so if there's anything else needed on the picnic, we can communicate outside of meetings, so feel free to shoot emails to other members, ask for help, ask questions.
On the game night? Yeah.
And if not, I'll see everybody there.
That's soon.
This is going to be fun.
More fun.
Are we a team?
No, we're working.
Okay, just asking.
So Cindy, last year there was a pickleball team.
I know, it was Chris Bradshaw put it together.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I meant us. I mean, is Parks and Rec a team?
No.
Yeah.
People would think it's real. I don't think we know the answers. But some of us do.
Okay, all right.
Hawthorne.
Hawthorns.
Okay, I assumed there was going to be some members of the public here, so I'm kind of surprised about that. But I'm going to share my screen to give you guys an update and see what your thoughts are, if the Parks and Rec has any thoughts on this. So hang on. Oh God, every time I do this, it goes to that. Okay. So I was going to show people how to get to this page. On December 16th, the Public Access Working Group met. And they don't publish minutes until right before the next meeting, which is now not till February 29th, because they had to adjust a little bit given what happened in the meeting. And essentially, they went through what they did last meeting. Can you guys, I'm going to have to make that smaller. The plus sign at the top of the screen. Hang on, to do it this way. Do that plus sign directly. Yes, I just want to center the right page. Okay, so the discussion was about trail use, the trail itself, or trails in Hawthorns, and then about parking and access. And if I get this too big, you won't be able to see the key. But essentially this, where my cursor is, this is Alpine Road. And this is Saddleback right here into the ranch. So that's the edge of Hawthorns. And the proposed trail is essentially this purple line. And then there was a discussion, the trail design, about whether they wanted these offshoots that you could come in. This is Portola Road right here. So you could come into the trail from Portola Road if you were walking, and you could also come in from
it looks like Los Trancos almost.
No, so it's hard to see on this. Los Trancos is over, this is Los Trancos.
Yeah.
This is where the trail is that leads over to this is Alpine Hills over here. So right at the edge of the entrance of Hawthorns on Alpine Road. Okay. So one of the things they talked about is widening this Alpine Trail, which is a request of Trails and Paths from Portola Valley. And you'll note that it's only from Portola to Hillbrook. That's Hillbrook over there. And they did talk about that they liked adding this white one. This is a new piece that they would put in, which would also access the ranch right here. So you could get onto Sweet Springs Trail, which goes along the outer edge of Hawthorns. So in general, that was pretty well favored. There were some, let me see if it's even here. It shows, yes. So it shows proposed benches where these are scenic vistas. And this is a view shed for about 12 homes in the ranch. So that was of concern, that those neighbors have expressed concern about having people walk on this open space trail. But I think in general, the POG is pretty much in favor of this. The group also has expressed that they want access over to Los Trancos, but it was very clear, and my group, the ad hoc group from Portola Valley, also asked for this, which is to consider the planning and use for this historic complex, in addition to just looking at the trail over here. but MidPen is not open to doing that. They're really going to look at this section of Hawthorne separately that has the Los Trancos side, but they've noted that people want a trail to Los Trancos and sort of through in that manner. Now I want to go what is more controversial, and now I have to make this smaller, is the parking, the access and the parking. So as you can see, this is Alpine Road right over here where the cursor is on the left. That is the road across the street from Roberts, the driveway that goes up to the staff residence where the ranger lives.
Oh.
Okay. Over here, this is Nathhorst. And then across the street, a little bit down, is what's called the historical entry. And if you drive by slowly, you'll actually see the gates there. So this is one of the access and parking ideas that's there. And it's that you would come in this historical entry and you would have this long lot basically against the street. And the trailhead restroom is 75 feet from the street, because according to the general plan, or the way they're interpreting it, they could put a structure a little beyond 75 feet. So you can imagine that this is all pretty close to the road. BPTS has also indicated that bikes start going pretty quick down this road. And it was agreed that this area over here is not as safe as an entry over here. Okay. That's sort of, I'm giving you a very high level summary. And over here, these comparison charts, this is, they gave you option 4, option 5, and option 6, and they looked at what the construction cost was, how much tree removal, how much paved area, slope, et cetera, utility improvements. Now, another option was to use the existing driveway and then come around, not touching what they're calling these meadow areas, the North Meadow and the Hawthorns area, and put a parking lot up there. The last option was to use this existing driveway and then come in and put a smaller parking lot up here. And then in phase 2, which no one knows when that would be to put some spots along there. After they presented those options and showed, this comparison chart, they also then showed sort of slope diagrams, and this is the thing is, I'm going to try to blow this up. It's going to be, they didn't put, I noticed they didn't put distance on this. I don't actually think this is to scale, because we know the parking lot is probably 25 feet from the street. And I don't think these, anyway, this was essentially what they were drawing on that. And so they went through all of this, and then MidPen presented a very detailed analysis on the impact on natural resources. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but essentially you can see this little circle over here. Option 4, which is the one closest to the road, they're saying is the most aligned with their policy of conserving natural resources. Option 5 is not very aligned, and option 6 is in the middle of option 5 and 4. The POG then met and discussed things, and where it netted out from there is they didn't necessarily like any of the parking options. As I said, the trails they were pretty in tune with, but they netted out, and this is in my opinion liking option 4 better and being less concerned about being 75 feet within a scenic corridor. So I know there's some people that are upset about that. I know they're also doing more traffic assessment to really truly understand the safety issues. And the consultant that's in there looking at this said that there would have to be a lot of, not necessarily removal, but a lot of tree trimming and cutting back foliage and doing a lot in order to make it safer because of the shaded area. That's more or less was what was presented. And then they had to change the calendar because the next meeting was going to be a site visit with the plan that they had picked, but they needed more information before they could pick a plan. And so it's going to be another design meeting is the 29th of February. And then the site meeting after that, I believe, is March 25th. It's at the end of March. It's right at the beginning of spring break. So I don't know. Does anyone have any questions or any thoughts from a Parks and Rec perspective or an individual perspective? And I will say our request for dog access at this point, it seems like dogs will be allowed on leash on the trails.
Can you show me what option 4 is again?
Yeah.
You're saying 4 was the most.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you guys,
By the road.
you can get to this if you go to Mid-Penn and then you plug in Hawthorne's and then you want to go to the POG agenda, but option 4,
Is
let
the
me
one
make
by
it
the road.
smaller. Hang on, I gotta decrease the size now. Oh, it's not working.
Okay, I get it. It's the one
There.
right off the road.
It's right there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I personally am going to do is ask them for exact footage because it's all drawn. It's obviously it's in design phase. It's not exact is what they're expecting, because you can also see that there's a lot of trees around here. And the consultant said that this would all have to really get scaled back. So in terms of natural resources, you are impacting them. You know, I don't think was taken into consideration because the consultant's report had just come out.
But that was an entrance at one time. It's the historical entry. Yeah. Was.
Yeah,
It was the driveway. It was the driveway into that main house over here. You know, over on
There's
those.
I see.
a gate, I think, there that looks like it hasn't been opened in
100 years. I
Yeah.
think I've seen that. Never really thought about it. Huh.
But the key here is that for me is you'd have a big parking lot right next to the road, right? So you've got now a parking lot, on Alpine Road, for better or worse. It'd be very visible. I do think that the bikes cruise through there. There's no question about it. That intersection just after it is dangerous as well. But there's so many dangerous parts of those bicycles coming down Alpine Road. They're going downhill,
Too
that
fast.
direction.
They go past Los Trancos and they get hit.
So,
and that's exactly what, a quarter mile from that intersection, and it's the same problem.
Yeah.
So
the big thing, Karen, I don't get is I don't see this being so popular that you need this big parking lot. I mean, it's not that big a place. It's not that interesting, frankly, with all due respect. I mean, how many people are going to go walking around this thing?
It's not that
It
long.
feels a little bit. No, not
Actually,
at all.
I think that's why it's more
People who use it.
interesting.
So, John, it's a great question. And I think that the issue is because Windy Hill is such a problem. And yes, Windy Hill's much bigger, but the parking on Portola and all along Willowbrook is a real issue for the town. And so the request has been made to not have overflow all over Alpine Road into Roberts Market parking, on Nathhorst, on Hillbrook, over in the ranch. Like there's a real desire to ensure that we don't end up in another parking problem like we have at Sots, like we have at Ford Field now, like we, So people are pretty sensitive to that.
I get that, but I think there's a massive difference. Windy Hill is about maybe 10,000 times the size of this.
Yeah,
literally, right? You have to do the square, the acreage, but this tiny, this little reminds me more of that open space next to the town center, except less interesting because you can't get there from the town center. How many people do you see walking around that,
Well,
hardly
so
anybody.
there's a thought that it could be used a lot by school children, and there could be field trips, and if there's an interpretive trail and they get the historic complex open. So granted, just this piece of it doesn't look that interesting, but I think there's anticipation that it could get used in that manner. And I think, I mean, you might say one of the benefits is to build this smaller lot for 25 cars here. And then you can always, if you have the parking problem, they can build out. Right?
Yeah, because I like the fact you can't see it. I mean, frankly, I think there's a good chance that people will see a parking lot and use it for other purposes. The bicyclists come and go, hey, great, we park there and start there, because they do it all the time at Rosati's. It fills up. If you can go to the Rosati's parking area and see how many cars there are before Rosati's opens, and because they come from all over the Bay Area, and they park there and they bicycle. And I think that's what's going to happen if you put it right on the road. I think, that's just my sense right now. If it's way up there, I don't know, out of sight, out of mind, but if it's on Alpine, if it's on Alpine Road, it's a parking lot. We got another parking lot along Alpine Road mostly. And, for better or worse.
I don't disagree. For aesthetic purposes and really adhering to the general plan, I mean, what is a structure? Does it have to be a house with a roof, or, a building, or can it be also a parking lot? Because I think that the unfortunately, there's only 4 people from Portola Valley on this team of 11. So they don't truly maybe understand some of the values of Portola Valley. And they want to follow the guidelines, but they don't have the same viewpoint. But that's why the residents and our ad hoc committee needs to meet and talk about how we get this information to the residents and how the residents share their opinion. So that's sort of a next step for the ad hoc committee. Patty, do you want to add anything?
I was going to say, John, I think the fact that it's smaller might make it more attractive. People who don't want to, attack Windy Hill, and to Karen's point, can't park there. I am worried about overflow parking. I think people are going to park at Roberts and walk across the street. I personally like number 6 parking lot because it's more removed. It's out of sight, higher up the hill, but it's not my decision. So,
what's so bad about them parking near Roberts and walking across the street?
Well, because if you want to shop at Roberts and there's no place to park, it's
you'd get pissy, yeah.
A pain in the ass.
I've seen it kind of busy there, but I've never seen it full. I mean, the parking goes all the way around to the back. You got all the way around to the hardware store. I've never actually seen it where you can't find a parking spot ever.
We're going to have a new activity there, a new place to go. So there'll be more cars to park there. So
I just don't see it as being so bad as versus putting in a whole nother parking lot. Again, as long as it's up the hill and it's out of sight, out of mind, and if you're going there, you'll drive up there, and then we can find out how many people are really using it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't go building a whole big parking lot first. Anyway.
Well, I would encourage all of you to look for my posts in the forum and voice your resident opinion about what you think. I mean, that's the beauty of this process. And the issue is how do we get all this information out? And they haven't necessarily, after this group, the public access working group makes a decision, it will go to MidPenn's board. And then if MidPenn's board approves it, it will come to the planning commission here and then to the town council. So there's still a lot of steps in the process, but the sooner that residents provide their input, you know, hopefully that can impact it.
Will do.
Well, I want to thank Karen again. She's done a terrific job here and just keeping us all informed and getting the community together for visibility and awareness. So thank you, Karen. And I know the trails are obviously important. Parking is important. I do think it's great that we'll at a minimum get dogs on leash. So we need to keep that moving forward. Okay, anything else on Hawthorns?
Can you add a horse?
No, that's a good question because that was discussed. And I think that where they netted out is that no, the trails won't, they want it to be multi-use, but that horses probably wouldn't go there. And one of the people that is in favor of horses said that it's actually just not that big of an area. This is to John's point that you would go there specifically, like drive your horse trailer there and go there to ride there. But what you might do is you use it as an extension loop. So you'd be along the Alpine Trail and then you might go up and around. But it's not totally finalized, but my impression from the discussions and where people were netting out is horses probably wouldn't be up there because you'd have kids and you'd have even kids on bikes if they're going to allow bike access.
Well, from the Hawthorne, can you continue on toward like Skyline or any other place up there?
The only thing that you can do, Hawthorns is pretty contained between our Portola Valley Ranch, Alpine Road, and Los Trancos. The only thing you can do is continue along the Alpine Trail, and then you can go up to Windy Hill. You can get there that way. And in addition, but because they're not opening the historic side, the Los Trancos side, it has been requested to provide trail access over to where you can get into Foothills Park. So on that other side of Los Trancos. But again, that's not going to happen in this first phase.
Those are all pretty far from there too, I think. There's trails that go all the way around it that nobody's ever on. You were just pointing to the one trail that goes up if you just go right across the street here. So right along the the side up Alpine Road, there's a really nice trail that goes up and all the way through the ranch, but you'll never see anybody on any of those trails, or like very few. Anyway, but it's kind of in that area. It doesn't, to go anywhere else from there, you're crossing over some major areas and heading into something pretty far away.
Okay.
Right, Alpine Road the other direction. I mean, Windy Hill's the other direction. You're coming up Alpine Road, going up around Corte Madera, and up that way.
Okay.
It's
far from there. I apparently there are some people that are saying there is a trail right off of Los Trancos that goes up through the to the Foothill Preserve. So they want that connection.
It does. So, my kids walk that trail all the time up to the big tree in Foothills Park.
Yeah.
There's the way we get to it is very odd because there's a driveway, somebody's driveway. He leaves the gate open for us to take that trail. So something has to be done that's more public. Can't go through his property.
Okay. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Good job.
Okay, let's go on to item number D, the Court 3 usage summary, which I sent out to all of you. So we took a survey, and the survey said, so in terms of the distribution of the survey, we sent it out. I put it on the PB forum twice. Once on like January 3rd and once last, I think, Tuesday. Cindy sent it out to the pickleball group, and I sent it out to the SCETA group, which probably got to the most tennis players from the SCETA system, obviously pickleball, and then the general public for PB forum. So the 3 questions, very simple. First question was, oh, again, we kind of, I didn't put it on here, but we outlined the proposal, which, to remind everybody, was to put a tennis net on court number 3, or as Cindy said, to replace it with a net that used to be on court number 3. Repaint the court so that it only has tennis and basketball lines. That's all. Do not allow pickleball on that court. It would still be available for half-court basketball. And Corte Madera, for their tennis team, could use then courts 2 and 3 for tennis, leaving 1 court open for our residents, either pickleball or tennis during the week, during the spring, Monday through Thursday, 3 to 5. I think that was the crux of the proposal. So the first question was, do you agree or disagree? We had a total of 93 respondents. You can see how they broke out, agreed, neither or disagreed. And then I summarized the comments. Well, in many cases, I just cut and pasted, but I put the comments down below. Hopefully you all had a chance to read through them. Some were very miscellaneous, off the wall comments, which I did not include. And then some, like at the bottom, you know, on question number 2 was, if you disagree, what are your concerns? And question number 3 was just a general, do you have any other comments? And so you can read through them there. Did anybody have any questions kind of over the top just about the survey? Comments about the comments that came through?
Well, the comments, yeah, there were some real pickleball haters out there.
Well, are you surprised?
No, not at all. But I don't know whether I should address those. I mean, they're just odd. I mean, they say things they have no idea. They think most players are not from the town, and they are. 54% are from the town.
Well,
and our town players play in other towns. I don't see why that's an issue. I don't understand.
but it's almost half and half, right?
Yeah, right. It's half.
It's not really like 80-20.
No.
So,
but does it matter? I mean, like in pickleball at Mitchell Park, it's 50-50. You know, I mean, they have 1,000 people. We don't have 1,000. I mean, it's a small number. I mean, we're there maybe 16, 20 people an afternoon.
I think the feeling is from some people that since we're cramped for space, you know, and our residents losing benefits at the expense of non-residents. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's a general feeling that might be happening. And so they see the pickleball is a good example where there's a lot of non-residents. Now, it's not very many. I also know Mitchell Park charges a fee for being in their club, right?
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, but.
So my opinion is we shouldn't try to solve for that here right now. Cindy, we may want to take this offline and address some of the comments that came up, but
yeah,
talk about that separately.
Yeah, that you're right. That's
I think those are outliers.
Well, they were obviously, because I mean, the large percentages
Well,
agreed, but it was just
know that when you take a survey, you're going to get the people who feel strongly for and against.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that we got some shameful comments. We're shameful. We're just shameful.
We were shameful. Parks and
We
Rec
are
is shameful.
totally
Did you
shameful.
read that one? Parks and Rec is shameful because you
I
listen
know
to
we are
pickleball
totally
players.
shameful.
Uh,
But you know
Where's
what?
this survey?
Pardon?
Where's the survey results recorded?
Where?
I just showed him, Dave.
Patty sent when she sent out the agenda or the most recent thing about our meeting, she attached them.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to maybe talk about is there were a lot of comments about people concerned that it was going to take away from the basketball group. And, you know, as far as we've seen, that court isn't used that much. But John, you had mentioned that the courts at Corte Madera are really nice. And I'm wondering how we can, again, increase the awareness about the fact that there are these brand new courts over there that are great. There's much more space for kids to go rollerblading or hang out, right? And how do we, because we are facing this recreational facilities limitation in our town, is how do we utilize and at least find out how the community can use the school grounds for things like that? I mean, when I looked at those comments, I thought, well, the school is a perfect place to kind of take some of this load.
Well, before we do that, I just want to mention that Sarah did meet with Roberta, I believe the superintendent of the PVSD schools, on one of her other action items which we had, which is to try and find more reciprocity between the school and the town for use of athletic fields. And Roberta made it very clear to Sarah that she does not want it advertised that courts and fields are available to citizens of residents of Portola Valley. We've seen it in the dog park issue. It creates issues, incidents, safety, security. And they are going to be putting up gates around the schools, and they will be locking them when school is not in session for safety and security reasons. So I don't know how reasonable it is to count on that, Karen.
Well, my experience as well is that there's a lot of basketball players that play during the day that are not, you can't go to a school during the day and play. You know, like this morning, there were basketball players. You know, you can't go to a Corte Madera during the day, during a school day. So they would only be available after school if they were available at all, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I just have this feeling that people think once we open court 3 to tennis, it's just going to be booked, 24 hours a day.
It's not.
And that's just not going to happen because it doesn't happen now.
No.
So
there's so few bookings and there are very few.
I mean, people say it's going to, keep the kids from, doing their little roller skating. I just don't think so. I could be totally, ignorant about this, but I just don't see the traffic on court 3 that's going to make this a problem.
Well, I definitely think one of the comments was that kids wouldn't be able to do their rollerblading, roller skating in a big loop, but there's 12 feet on each side of where the tennis lines are to the sides. If you can't get through a 12-foot gap, you shouldn't be out there. I mean, really, right? To do a circle. I mean, so all there is that they're taking away that center section. Or if there was a suggestion to make it a rolling net, if people were really upset about it, make it a rolling net. I mean, they exist.
Yeah.
I actually thought rollerblading was not allowed on that court.
They might not be, but they don't listen. I mean, they have scooters, they have bikes, they have, it's all manner of kids doing things on that. They write on it with chalk.
Yeah.
They play in there. I mean, it's kind of like a blacktop playground for them.
You know, one thought is to, if we were to move forward with this new playground for the kids, is to figure out how there be perhaps an area that has the right surface for that. You know, that's not necessarily, it would be adjacent to the kids' playground. It's maybe, I'm just saying that maybe we can think of a different area for that, because I don't see it getting used that much for that. And it probably, other than during the Corte Madera tennis team period, won't get used that much for tennis.
Oh.
So I guess I would say that when we know that the majority by a lot are in favor of the proposal, and so we just need to be aware and keep, you know, be attentive to these issues, and if something were to arise, is to be able to address it.
It kind of bothered me a little bit that we have over 2,000 households, right? And we get 93 responses.
Not everybody's on the forum or reads that.
I'm not surprised at all. I was shocked we got that many.
Really? Oh, okay.
We only got what? How many surveys did we get from the ADU thing? We got 400.
Still, that's a much better ratio.
Well, and it's a much bigger issue, but it's still not 2,000 households.
That's true. Okay. I don't know what else we can do to get people to say if they have a feeling about it or not. Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Okay. So what's our next step?
John, I haven't heard from you. Dave, I haven't heard from you.
I think actually this number of responses, at least it's a poll, you know, it's like polls or can be pretty small percentages and still be pretty representative. And I just think as long as I think basketball people want to be able to come down and use a half court. So the only question is whether that precludes them from doing that. The only way it would preclude them if somebody was playing tennis, but then it's just a matter of who's there first, right?
Yeah.
Would we have a policy for, I mean, there's not going to be reservations, right? So it's just a matter of somebody's on the court.
I think there would be reservation. Well, that's up to us.
They can make reservations.
They can if we choose to let them make reservations, or you could just say first come, first serve on that court.
I
mean, I can open it up to reservations.
Or open it, yeah. I mean, it's something we have to decide, I guess.
I don't think the basketball
it's open today on SCEDA. You can reserve court 3.
Yeah. So a basketball player could reserve it if they wanted.
Yep, they could.
And so it's a matter of letting people know what our policy is.
Yeah. Dave, do you have any comments?
There's not an accompanying change in the usage guidelines for courts 1 and 2.
No.
Correct.
So all this does is add tennis capability.
Yeah.
So
we thought it was a good idea.
So we could consider making it seasonal then for Corte Madera tennis.
Yes.
And then the other question is just another thing to consider on use of that area by kids is in support of their siblings' basketball or baseball and or soccer games for the players' siblings to have something to do besides just the playground when they're at the park. But that's more of a weekend and weeknight thing.
No, if the court's open, they can go play. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it won't preclude the exercise classes being held there. I mean, I think all that can still happen. Parks and Rec classes always have precedence on courts.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't see the downside really.
We could
So
call them and expect say we're going to do it for 6 months, see how it goes, and then these people will know we need to.
Well, we have to buy a jet.
Have we discussed the basketball hoops along the side interfering with the Corte Madera basketball coach or tennis coach?
No, well, I had him come out and ask him what he thought, and he said no, they wouldn't interfere.
Okay.
But the woman who coaches some of the B team said that her better players, it would be an eye distraction for them. That's all. That was the complaint. So
I spoke with Tracy Cowperwaith, who I thought was the coach of the
she
team.
is the
and
coach of the B team.
She said they can definitely play with the hoops there.
Right. So yeah, she's the one that said that it was an eye distraction for her better player.
Yeah, Tracy sent me a note separately and said she supported the idea.
Good.
Now she did say in a later email that Corte Madera needed courts that didn't have any physical barrier between them because she has drills where the players move between courts. I don't think that should be, I mean, maybe we could take down the barrier for those 2 or 3 months.
I had Justin unlock it so that we can roll the nets back.
Okay, great, fine. No, Tracy said she was fine with the proposal.
Okay, and anything she doesn't like, we can always have removed. That net, by the way, is deteriorating pretty rapidly, so it might need to be replaced anyway, and maybe we could replace it while at that point in time. But I'll talk to Howard about that, I think.
So I think the next step would be for us to take it to the town and tell them that, you know, Parks and Rec proposes that we do this. It will involve purchasing a net.
Painting.
It will involve repainting the court. Parks and Rec does have money left in our budget if we want to propose to use it for that, if the town is, if that's a stumbling block for the town. But I'd like to take it to Sharif and just see what he says.
Oh, that would be correct, right? Because he's our
guy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I would probably take it to him anyway, but and I have talked to Howard about it. So he's aware of it.
I'm in favor of doing that.
I just want to note that this was always not only the intent, it is. I mean, we're actually officially not changing anything. It was supposed to be a tennis court. It's got tennis courts drawn on it. It's got poles, places where you put tennis nets.
Everything's there.
The fact that they don't have the nets, so somebody lost the nets. Well, go buy more nets. You lost them. You know?
Where's our net?
And get rid of the lines that are for tetherball and all the other weird things that are on there. I mean, they really don't need that. The half-court basketball lines they should keep.
Yeah.
But there, there's 4 basketball nets, 2 on the ends and 2 on the sides. The 2 ends have the half-court lines, but the 2 sides do not. So that's kind of nice because then the tennis court will be very pure, except for a couple of little yellow circles.
I don't know. Do they need the free throw lines? Do people actually practice free throws?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you do.
They do.
We don't need them. We don't need them on the side ones.
Yeah, the side ones, they aren't
just
there
on the
anyway.
back ones.
The side ones are just little 8-foot nets anyway.
Yeah.
They're not 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
And they're almost never
if
used.
If I have people support, I'm going to take this to Sharif and see what happens.
I support.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go for it.
How do we increase the maintenance of the southern hoop in the area around it with all the
debris?
Detritus,
That's terrible. It really is terrible.
It's terrible.
That's why that basket is almost never used. I'm there a lot, and they always like the other end.
Well, yeah, because you're not going to roll your ankle.
There's no garbage there. But the town doesn't clean those courts. For example, they bought me a blower. I blow the courts. I get the debris off, and so pretty much we'd have to do the same thing for people who used court 3. They'd need to get the debris off. That debris doesn't interfere so much with the tennis lines, but it does with the basketball. Very much so. So maybe we could talk to Howard about having a regular maintenance to get those leaves off that section of the court.
We should start charging pickleball players to use the court and then use those fees to maintain the courts. Crazy.
No, we maintain
We
them.
do charge pickleball players.
We charge them $93.
And then somebody talk to facilities and
Say, you got to clean our courts now and then.
start maintaining the courts.
So I was there this afternoon. I don't know, it was probably 4 o'clock, and looking to try to put the flyer in the case by the courts. And there was a maintenance guy there blowing leaves out in the parking lot. And so I would just say that there was somebody there with a leaf blower. And if they're over there blowing leaves out of the parking lot,
why can't they do the courts?
They could certainly go in and do the court. I would just mention that a guy was there today.
But that's true. You know, what's funny is when he blows off the parking lot, he very often blows it onto the courts. Because he's clearing those sidewalks too.
Yeah, well, that's something to talk to Howard about then.
I blow it right back out.
Yeah.
I'll mention it to Howard. Okay, moving along.
Actually, can I bring up something different, sort of, but it has to fall under the subject for purposes. And Cindy, I think this is more in your area, but because it was a question to me, it came on the side about the user fees for the pickleball people.
Yeah.
The issue is this, if you go into the application, it says that a season is 4 consecutive months, right? And so therefore there's 3 seasons in the year. And the question was, I think that there's really 2 seasons of pickleball. I don't know, you tell me, but they go more than 4 months or something such that it was like, can't we just pay 2 seasons? Do we have to pay 3? Right. Anyway, I just thought that's something that needed to be answered.
The only pickleball players that pay that fee are the league players, because they're requiring reservations. You know, we don't have reservations. We're just all there, you know. And
right.
So that group of 30 some players that actually take reservations, take time, you know, do that, they each play 3 seasons. They really do have 3 seasons, and they pay $93 per season per player.
Okay, good. Because that's according to that's the policy.
Yeah,
right.
That's what they're doing. So we should just start.
It's just a question of they asking if they have to. They wanted to pay for 2 seasons for whatever reason.
But if we needed to pay for general players, you know, we're just basically the public coming there. We don't reserve it. You know, we just come.
Yeah.
I would have the budget for that, but I don't know how we would do that. It wouldn't be a per person thing, or it couldn't be. It would have to be like the club.
Well, it'd be like a court reservation fee.
Yeah,
right?
Or a court use fee. You could call it a court use fee for the club, and that would be fine with us.
Lindsay, is that sign language, or what are you doing there?
He was making fun of me because I use my hands. He knows me. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so not a lot has been done. There's been some discussion, but I wanted to share my screen. I went over, it was yesterday. I went over to Springdown, which is what we keep talking about, and looking at the deed restriction. And you can't make any, I don't know how to say it. You can't change the land that was there. Okay, but I'm gonna just show you guys something. Everybody talks about, boy, I need to move this. Sorry, I can't get to my screen. Everybody talks about
the fencing. Yeah.
The fencing as being the limitation. How do I make my screen bigger? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
But I took some pictures to show what was there in terms of fencing, and every single side has some type of fence. So this is the fence that's along the parking lot that obviously is in desperate need of, repair. It's a split rail fence. And you can see, I think the original intent of it was something like this over here. This is the fence. This is hard to see along Portola Road, and it's got these posts. Some are wooden, some are these metal ones because it's, I think, dilapidated, and it's got wire mesh in between the posts. Can you see that?
Yes.
At all? Okay. This is along the Jellich Ranch side, and it's possible this is along Jellich Ranch, but they have a fence, again, with wire mesh and some signs that say keep out private property. But again, they've put fencing in. And then this is Springdown, and there's a little creek that runs, and then there's mesh fencing that they have, and this is a little bit more extensive. This is over towards I think that's more the stable area. So I'm really wondering if there is existing fencing there. Should we really try to pursue this? Because I think reparations of existing material is okay. I think that's one of those things. And there are other areas for off-leash dogs that don't have, 8-foot high fencing with a gate kind of thing. So I think we need to figure out who the right people are to talk to and research this further and how they're able to do that. I think the question would be, how would the neighbors, meaning Springdown and the Jellich Ranch side, maybe feel about that? Maybe if we help repair their fencing, that could be a good neighbor kind of thing. That might be a quid pro quo. And I think another question is would dog owners, if we offered this area, would they move from town center or the local school fields that they're currently using? Or would they just then add that to their repertoire? So, but I did want to share for people that there is fencing around there, and I think there's a misnomer about that. And that's what I have for you today.
I think they'd move.
I don't think they would, but I wanted to say one thing. So on the fencing, I know, Karen, you and I didn't have a chance to connect on this, but I had always, I guess, thought, which can be changed, that we wouldn't use the total area, that we would just fence off one of the corners, for lack of a better word. Because I think that, number one, could be big enough, and number two, I think one of the big I can't think of words tonight, I'm really sorry. Disagreements that we're going to have with Springdown, or one of their biggest concerns, is the proximity of the dogs to the horses. So that if you kept the dog park closer to Portola Road and then fenced off an area so that they couldn't get as close to the horses, I think that would be more amenable to Springdown. I don't think they're going to like it in any case, but I think that would be more amenable to them. The question about whether the people are going to move, I mean, you're talking about moving from a nice, lush, green grass area to, gopher-filled, scrubby brush area with burrs, right? So
you're right.
I just think people, unless they are forced to, will stick with the option they have. That's not to say we shouldn't try this. Don't get me wrong. I think we should definitely push forward with this. Because I think if we come up with a proposal that is somewhat acceptable, so for lack of a better word, that I think we will get the town support. I know Sharif has said he would support it. And I think it's just going to come to a head where we're gonna have to have a solution.
Well, I think that we need to figure out how to pursue it. And I was thinking that it could be the whole area. I don't even see why it couldn't be. And I wouldn't call it a park. I would call it an off-leash dog area.
Yeah, but see, I think if you split it in half here, it would be plenty big enough.
It would be, but if the issue is the fencing,
The issue is the fencing. I
well,
agree.
then we have to think about it in a different manner.
Or we'd have to get, you know, to Catherine's point, we'd have to start a discussion with Springdown and our conservation committee, because they also have concerns about building in that area.
Well, they had concerns about just one, putting up a fence along Alpine Road, but the fence is already there. Right?
Portola Road.
It's a repair. It's a repair.
Portola Road, yeah. I'm not even sure you need to repair it. I just think I don't think you should call it a dog area or anything. I think we just call it Springdown, and we just have, you know, the policy be that you're allowed to have your dogs off leash while they're in there.
It's true. There's not any fencing at the town center, is there?
No, there's less, which is why the dogs are, you know, I mean, and they have now updated I don't know what that thing is, the vicious dog policy thing that they did at the town council meeting. But, you know, there's dogs that have knocked down children at town center, stolen their food, you know, run into soccer games. So it would at least would be a more confined area. So.
I see. Yeah, because they run onto pickleball court too. It is a big area. Look at that.
Yeah. That's why I kind of like leaving it, also just not trying to cut it in half, just again, not doing anything other than changing the policy. The more land you have, the further away you are from the road and from the horses, you know, and they hopefully can run around just in that big open area in the middle.
So just
to say they will versus being on a grass field, but you know, we can say you're allowed to.
Who gives the permission for us to do that? Is it Springdown itself?
The town owns this piece of land. This is land that was given to the town
by this,
but there is a deed restriction. So we would really need to have somebody who understands the deed restriction, and when we tell them what the use is, to make sure that it does adhere to the deed restriction. And also, I think, as I mentioned in the previous slides, I think we need to better understand how these areas like Mid-Penn, and I'm pretty sure the county of San Mateo has a new park that doesn't have, well, I need to check into that, but it seems like it's less restrictive fencing now. So
but if we chose not to fence, I'm saying, you know, just to try it as an area that dogs can run, how do you get permission to even try it? You talk to a lawyer? I mean, is that what you're saying?
I think so. And maybe the county of San Mateo, both those areas.
Well, we did have Catherine take a look at it, and she was the one who said, you know, you can't put any new structures, building fence, you can't modify it, et cetera, et cetera. So,
which would be fine. It's not there.
Et cetera, et cetera. So that's, it doesn't really say anything in there. I got to remember, Karen, about how you use the land. I don't think. Basically, we'd have to get town approval.
Town approval.
I think we'd have to get a lot of T's crossed first.
Well, I you know, have you talked to Sharif about this at all, Patty?
I talked to him very briefly, you know, a couple months ago, and it was kind of this, hey, we need a dog park, and Sharif was like, I totally support a dog park. Let me climb out of the alligator pond first, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, when you go and talk to him about the pickleball courts, you can then also talk to him about Springdown as a potential dog park and say it does have the, you know, it is somewhat enclosed, and
It's not a park.
you know, I can try, I'll go to Ray Mueller. He'll respond to me and he'll tell me who the right person is. I've tried to contact the county a couple times. They've done a bunch of pilots of dog parks, but I can't get anyone to respond to me.
But if we just wanted to use it as an off-leash area, that's not the same as a dog park. I mean, we don't want to build anything. We don't want to put in a little hydrant.
No, it is the same. I'm sorry. You can, whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
there
okay.
there are laws. There are restrictions.
Okay.
Dogs, yeah, there is a leash law. So you have to figure out how you qualify to not have the leash law in effect.
The leash law is the town of Portola Valley?
It's a San Mateo County
leash law.
I think it's a state law.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this get complicated.
But I think the key to where it started this is that we know there are parks in San Mateo and in California, I'll say, that allow dogs off leash.
Yes, there are.
Legally. Right. So
how'd they do that?
What does it take to do that?
I see. Yeah, the dog park I ride by all the time is the one that's where is it, by Mariners Park up there? There's a big dog park, but it is totally fenced. There's a little area, there's an area for little dogs and an area for big dogs that are separate. But I'll bet it's the fencing. But you've not been able to get hold of the county. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
But I'm gonna try another avenue that'll probably work better.
Go up there and start playing, see who shows up to kick you off.
Okay.
Why don't you try, Lindsay, and let us know how that works?
Good.
I don't want to get you in trouble, Lindsay. No, I think this is our best bet for a solution. We just have some things to work through. So.
Okay.
Anything else there, Karen? Okay. I don't have an update from Sharif on F. I'll ping him again on that. Sorry, it's just not come up. I don't think I've done anything on the opportunities slide either. No, California State Grant, I haven't done anything on, and parking at Rosati's in Ford Field, I did send another email to Corey asking her for an update, specifically asking her how much Rosati's had paid and whether their application was active and how much they were paying, and I have not heard back from her. So, anything else that anybody has they wanted to discuss, or anything that I kind of ran through that you had a question about?
Just wanted to know if that a Parks and Rec committee member could be from Woodside if they attend the Portola Valley School District. You know, that one little area of Woodside that's part of our district?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I started thinking about something.
Oh yeah. Karen, you were thinking. Oh my God. So there's a potential. I would like to get younger people with kids on this committee, and the people that I know are obviously athletic pickleball players and whatnot, people who belong to clubs. And one of them is a Woodside resident, but the Woodside section that is assigned to our school district, that's up on like Old La Honda and whatnot. And whenever I read anything to do with the town, it always says, Portola Valley and a sphere of influence, which is the 94028, which includes Ladera, which doesn't make any sense to me because they go to Menlo Park schools. It's just kind of like, but these people, it's a small group of people, in large, are part of the Portola Valley community. And I just don't know if that's appropriate because they're never mentioned as part of sphere of influence.
I think what I shared with, sorry, I'm on mute. I think what I shared with you in the committee handbook, which by the way
Yeah.
needs to be updated, says that it's basically up to the committee.
And so we need the committee to make some decision on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was bringing it up to get a decision, whether I should ask her or not to come to these, or if they want to, or if they're interested even. I don't want to ask anybody if I can't. Oh, but we don't want you.
I think the other question is, you know, is he or she willing to work on the Portola Valley Town Picnic, or, you know, the Portola Valley Game Night, or
I don't know. I'd have to ask that, but we first need to know whether or not that particular subset of Woodside residents would be eligible to be on, if we want them on the committee, if there's an objection to doing that.
You know, this is going to sound weird because I don't want to be exclusive, because I do understand they're in the Portola Valley School District. But it would be ideal to get somebody that's a resident of Portola Valley.
Right.
Like that would be ideal. But I think we need people that are really willing to do things, and to, we do need representation of a younger age group.
We do.
You know, but the parents, maybe they're involved in, yeah, as you said, pickleball, or they're in the softball league. I mean, John, there's a lot of,
There are.
aren't there people in softball that have younger kids? Like is the green team the one?
I think
Well,
John's team's the elder team.
Yeah, they all do, except mine.
Except yours.
So I just wonder how we could tap into that, or Little League.
The younger
right?
ones are now getting older.
Yeah. Or even Katie, you know, given her involvement with the kids' playground, and she's tapped into the community. But anyway, I'm just throwing all those ideas out.
She'd be a good one to look at for sure.
you know, I kind of mentioned it to her and she didn't jump on it, so I didn't push.
Okay. Okay. So no decision on that on the Woodside. The ideal we know is Portola Valley residents, right? I know that, but I just don't run into many people who are willing to volunteer for things, and this woman does. I mean, she helps with a lot of stuff, so I'm just kind of, you know, and I don't know until I ask them, where do you live, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would be open to entertaining people who are involved in the community, who have children in the community, and who would be willing to work on projects regarding our community. I think our borders are pretty fluent, for lack of a better word. And if we had entertained somebody from Madera, I don't know why we wouldn't entertain somebody from Woodside. It's just my 2 cents.
Dave, do you know any people from Little League?
Not anymore.
Yeah, it's difficult. Okay, well, I'll keep looking. I'll see if I can't find a resident that's kind of one of those people that tends to volunteer. You know, there aren't that many volunteers in the world.
No, they're not.
You do know that, right?
Welcome to our world. I told you that 25 years ago.
Okay.
So
Okay, any other comments?
Yes, it was what I was thinking about. I neglected when I said I was going to send you guys an email to send to your friends and get people involved in trivia night. I neglected to mention that we should also be posting on the forum, and it would be great if we could divvy that responsibility up, and that each week it's a new Parks and Rec member who posts. So raise your hand if you're willing to do that.
Just to post that thingy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine to do that.
Okay. And John, I know you'll
again.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll send something out about that. I was like, oh, I forgot to ask. That's what
Okay,
I
so
was thinking
I
about.
should send it to, I should, you'll tell me when to do the PV forum one, and also I'll do the PV pickleball players as a separate group.
Yeah, and all your other PV friends. Your
Okay.
Los, you know, like you have a Los Trancos,
Vista Verde directory, yeah.
Vista
We have
Verde,
oh my God, we have the groups.
You have
I
the
run
group.
it. I
Any
run
kind
it.
of group, any neighborhood group, send it out to your neighborhood group if you
I
have
will.
one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but I'll send something out to you within the next couple days that has copy that you can just cut and paste. Okay?
Wonderful. Yeah.
All right. All right,
Awesome.
thank
Did we
you.
have a pickleball team last time?
Yeah, we did. I wasn't on it, but Chris Bradshaw had it. I think they did very well. They had a good time, so I'm sure they'll be back. It was kind of more or less a PV ranch group.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment?
In favor?
I second the motion.
I'm gonna go see if I have power. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Wow.
Great. Good night, guys.
Night.
Okay, bye.